Hi there. Welcome back. This is the second video of Photoshop for Beginners series. In this video, we're going to be learning how to use the crop tool in Adobe Photoshop. The crop tool is a really useful tool for resizing and shaping your images, and it's super easy to use. To get started, open up your image in Photoshop and select the crop tool. I'm going to tap the C key to select the crop tool, but we can also select it from the toolbar. Now, by default, Photoshop places a crop marquee around the entire image, but you can also just click and drag in the image area in order to create your own. We can use any of the handles in order to resize the crop marquee. And I can hold down the Option key on Mac or the Alt key on Windows in order to resize from the center. I can reposition the crop marquee by clicking and dragging within the marquee. If I need to change the aspect ratio, I can select one from the list, or enter in my own values. In order to swap the values, I can click the double-headed arrows. And to remove an aspect ratio, I can always click the clear button. We can use the overlay icon in order to change the different overlays, or we can cycle through them by just tapping the O key. As I cycle through the different overlays, if there's an overlay where I want to change the orientation, I can just add the Shift key. And tap O if I only want the overlay to appear when I have the mouse down. Then I can choose to auto-show the overlay. Now, as I draw it, I can see the overlay, but when I release the cursor, the overlay is hidden. If I ever want to hide the area around the crop marquee, I can use the gear icon and disable the Show Cropped Area, or we can toggle it by just tapping the H key. I'll tap it once to hide. And then tap it again to reveal it. Now by default the option to delete cropped pixels is enabled. And when we open this image, it was a single layer document with a background. So we can see in the Layers panel that I still have that background, as well as a preview for the crop. If I were to apply this crop by clicking on the check mark, or by tapping Enter, or Return, Photoshop has deleted all of the pixels that are beyond the canvas area. In fact, if I tap the V key to select the Move tool, and we unlock the background, even when I reposition this, we can see that those extra pixels have been permanently deleted. I'm going to choose File and then Revert. And this time when I tap C to select the crop tool, I'm going to disable the Delete Cropped Pixels. Now when I click and drag out my crop marquee, we see in the Layers panel that there's no longer a background. And if I were to apply this crop and then switch to the Move tool by tapping the V key, we can see that Photoshop is actually held on to all of the pixels that are beyond the canvas area. Now because we are working with a layered file and because Photoshop is holding onto that extra information, our file size will be larger than if we chosen to delete those cropped pixels. And as long as we save these files as either PSD or TIFF files, then Photoshop will hang on to those pixels that are outside of the crop. If, however, you save as a JPEG or any other file format that doesn't support layers, then you're going to lose those pixels that are beyond the canvas area. If you ever want to show the information outside of the canvas, we can always choose the Image menu, and then select Reveal All. Alright. I'll tap once more, drag out my crop. And if I'd ever want to reset the crop marquee, I can click the first icon. The second icon here will cancel it, but for now, I'll apply the crop. One of the assumptions that's made, when we use the Image Size command to resize a document, is that we want to use the entire image, and that the file is already at the correct aspect ratio. But what if I only want to use a portion of the image, and I want to change the aspect ratio, and I want to define the width, height, and resolution of the document all in one step? Well, let's take a look at this example, and I'll choose Image and go to Image Size. In the Image Size window, if I type in 5 because I want this to be a 4 by 5 inch image at 300 pixels per inch, because the original document isn't at the correct aspect ratio, I'll never get 4 in the height. Likewise, if I type in 4 the height, I'll never get 5 as my width. I could unlink these and then enter in the values. But if I do that, then Photoshop is going to squish the image to fit, and I don't want that. So, I'll click Cancel instead. I'm going to tap the C key. And that will give me the crop tool. Then if I choose the 4 by 5 aspect ratio and click the double-headed arrows to swap this, reposition it and then click the check mark in order to apply it. Well, I've only cropped it to the correct aspect ratio. I would still need to go to the image menu. And then choose image size. And then change the width to 5 by 4 at 300 pixels per inch. Now, instead of doing that as a two-step process, I'm going to choose File, and then Revert. And this time from the drop-down menu, I'm going to select the width, height, and resolution. Now, I can type in 5 in for inches. Tap the Tab key, type in 4 in for 4 inches and then type in 300 pixels per inch, or you can set it to pixels per centimeter. Now I can resize the crop marquee, reposition it. And when I apply that crop, I end up with an aspect ratio of 4 by 5, crop to the area that I want. And then resize 4 by 5 inches at 300 pixels per inch. Alright, let's undo that by using Command Z on Mac, Control Z on Windows. What if I want to crop this image to post to my blog online? Well, then I need to set the crop to use exact pixel values. I'll go ahead and click Clear. Leave it set to width, height, and resolution and type in 1600px for pixels. Tap the Tab key. Type in 700px, and I can leave the resolution blank. Because I'm looking for a specific pixel count and I'm not concerned with resolution. Then I'll drag out my crop and just reposition it and then tap Enter or Return in order to apply that. If we return to image size by using Command, Option I, we can see that in fact, if I change from inches to pixels, it's at the exact size that we need. Now, if I thought I was going to need to crop to those exact values often, then, at the bottom of the drop-down menu, I could choose New Crop Preset, enter in a name, and then it would become available whenever I use the crop tool. Alright. I want to show just one more way that I often see people crop images. When they simply want to use a portion of the image without resampling the document. I'll tap the Escape key to get out of the crop. And then File. Revert, to revert the image. And I'll tap the M key to select the Marquee tool. Then for Style, I'll choose Fixed Size. And I'll type in those same values, 1600 by 700 pixels. When I click in my image area, Photoshop will give me a marquee at that exact size, which I can then reposition in the image area. In order to crop this, I'll choose Image. And then Crop. And Photoshop will crop it to that exact size. And there you go, several methods to quickly crop to the perfect size in Photoshop. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. We love hearing from our viewers, so please leave a comment down below and let us know what you thought of the video. And if you know someone who might find this video helpful, don't forget to share it with them. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.